and welcome to today's webinar by Make. And thanks for joining. And if you want, you can already post from where you're tuning in. And as you see, we're today not alone here. We brought two brilliant partners from Axanexa. John is here from Makeitfuture, Tiberius here. So yeah, let us know from where you're tuning in. And also later, of course, if you have questions, we're happy to answer them. And yeah, so let's see where people are tuning in from in the chat. I see just like, hey, everybody. Austin, Texas, cool. Also California is there. Oh, Hawaii, that's early in the morning. Nice. Thanks for making it. And also people from all around the world, I see. That's amazing. That's so great to see how big our community got. And yeah, hey, from Czech. That's cool. Germany, yeah, South Africa, Mexico, UK, Argentina. Nice, nice. Yeah, I also see a lot of people from India. That's really, really cool to see you guys here. Yeah, and cool. We're gonna wait some more minutes to get everybody on board till we start. Usually 1 to 2 to 3 minutes for people just tuning in right now. We have today here John from Axanexa and Tiberio from Makeitfuture, and with me, Seb. They're gonna run this amazing webinar about. And yeah, we're super happy to have you here today. So yeah, let us know from where you're tuning in. I see, oh, Lima, Peru, cool. Yeah, Malaga, Spain. It's like uh, right around the corner, Germany. Yeah, it's cool. Another one from Spain, Poland. Nice. Cool. I would give it 1 more minute and then I will start the webinar and we're going to go into first slides. And before we do this, of course, I want to remind you, if you have questions, please use the Q&A section in the Zoom so you can already post your questions and we can pick them up later after the webinar. And of course, if you have any other questions related to Make, feel also free to put them in the Q&A, but try probably keeping it around AI agents and automation classification. We're super happy to have you here today. So in case you did not yet post where you're tuning in from, still feel free to do it. And I'm super happy to be here today with John and Tiberio from two amazing partner companies. And with that said, I will kick it off. We're now 3 minutes in the webinar, and here we go. So welcome everybody to today's webinar. And we're today talking about AI agents, automating classification and workflows. So today I brought with me Tiberius Okashi and John Hu. Tiberius CEO and John is president of Axanexa. And I'm head of applied AI at Make. I'm Sebastian Mertens. Feel free to add us on LinkedIn, shoot us a message, and we're super happy to help you at any kind of questions what you're having. And with that said, let's go to the first slide. I will walk you a bit over about our wider agenda today. And of course, if you have questions, you see the fifth point there, put it in the Q&A, but let's start in the beginning with a little introduction. Some of you might know me. I will not introduce myself because this is all about giving you the expert knowledge, showing you what you can build with Make and AI agents in there. And for us, it is really important to get everybody on the same page, why AI changes everything. And then we're going to hand it over to Tiberio from Makeitfuture. And after Tiberio has finished his use case, we're going to go to John for the use case of Axanexa. And as I said in the beginning, I can't repeat it more often. Please use the Q&A section to ask our partners anything. Also, if you have questions around Make, of course, feel free to drop them there. I try to answer it. So with this said, let's go into a little introduction of Axanexa. John, unmute yourself. Stage is yours.
Thank you, Seb. So I am John Hill from Axanexa. We are a Make Platinum partner as well as a Monday Platinum partner. We specialize in workflow automation, especially around back office transaction processing. We believe that with the modern technology of Make and Monday, we are able to help companies really revolutionize their business and truly lower their back office costs. So things like invoice processing, purchase orders, supplier onboarding, all kinds of back office workflows where traditionally just requires a lot of human intervention can be truly automated through AI. And today I'm happy to share with you guys two use cases that really just highlight the possibilities of AI.
Thanks a lot, Sean, for this nice introduction. And yeah, I can't wait for your use case. And with that said, over to Tiberio and for Makeitfuture.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation, Seb and Make. So I'm Tiberio from Makeitfuture. We are a platinum partner of Make and an Airtable Gold partner. We specialize a lot on Make automations in that niche, I would say ERP and CRM, any custom ERP. We like to think that we can connect to anything, so just test us. And more recently, in the last 2 years, very focused on how we can bring AI into workflows, creating AI agents with Make, creating voice agents with Make, and so on. Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot. And thanks for having you both here today. It's amazing. I was super hyped to have finally that webinar with two of the best partners of Make, if not the two best partners, of course, to say. So from there, let's try to get everybody on the same page when it comes to AI. So I think it's really important to get everybody on the same page why AI changes everything in automation. And I will explain this in a brief second, and then we will get the use cases to you. So if we're thinking about AI, it makes everything easy. This is what you know, right? It's like you can tell AI, code me this Python script that summarizes something. You can tell AI, hey, write that email too. We all know ChatGPT, Claude, etc., etc. So you can say analyze this data set, you can say create a song text or post about AI agents. So with this, you really have the power in your hands. Now you can bring this power, of course, to your processes. And when bringing this power to your processes, it unlocks tremendous potential. In the past, you had to define everything. Now AI can define on runtime things for you. Let's explore this a bit deeper. So AI plus Access is the game changer. If you're thinking about it, you could now, with an OpenAI module or a Claude module, access any kind of information that you got from your Salesforce or from your HubSpot module. And you can, for example, reply to a sales lead. You can answer a sales inquiry if something is still in stock or not. And combining this AI, the large language model, and the access to your system where you operate and work is the absolute game changer when it comes to automation. So with this said, it's important to say with Make, you can unlock endless use cases. This is our bread and butter business, but the emerging need for AI is to access systems to unlock endless possibilities. Why is this so important and why we're spending time on this? Because you can now make your processes way smarter than you had in the past. I'm sure many of you already tried this, and for some of you, this is old news. For some, it might be new news that you can, in runtime, take decision and describe things. And this is why we're doing today's webinar, to describe and really showcase the power of this endless use case and bringing this to you so you can use it with Make in daily operations. Or if you have questions, of course, you can contact our two amazing partners who are here with me today. So with Make, you're in the pole position to unlock these endless use cases. What does it mean? So if you're thinking about AI and where this will lead us, Make, towards is the process automation spectrum today is kind of like completely deterministic. So you can define in a router, in a filter, in a path, how the flow should go. And in the future, it might be completely non-deterministic. So you can say, well, if the sales lead is in the last 3 months not active, please send him a reminder. So basically, you let the LLM decide what to do and what to choose. Some of this you will see in today's use cases. Some of this we will release in the future. In the future is pretty soon. So with this said, I would now hand over to Tiberio to show you the use cases that he brought for you here today. So, Tiberio, are you ready? Let's go.
Yes, all good.
I will stop the screen share so you can run your slides.
Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Now it should be. Now we can see it. Perfect.
Okay, thank you. So I'll cover in my presentation two use cases. First one will be a bit more technical, but I think very useful for make users that really want to implement something more advanced in AI. So this would be about how do you do classification in big databases with AI, right? So there are a few challenges here. When you try to do classification with AI, it gets autonomous, consistent, and scalable, versus if you do it against thousands of records, it can start to become unreliable, right? The same process, if you apply to a big number of records, the result might be different. For sure, will be different. So then it can become unreliable. It can be time consuming, and it could also become expensive because with very large data set, AI can start to become very expensive. Now, we have a use case here from one of our customers where the process required us to select the right HS codes for very big lists of products. So they are importing hundreds of thousands of products. For each of these products, we had to create a bigger process, creating descriptions, creating images, and so on. But part of that process was also defining HS codes. So for those who don't know really what HS code means, is when you import a product from outside Europe into Europe, you need to define the right category to report that product, the paperwork towards the government. All right. So in order to do that, you have a list of product codes which are created on chapters, subheaders, headers, and so on. But in total, you have around 50,000 different HS codes. So then trying to ask the AI to select the right one into that 50,000 records, you could do that with a very big model, with a big window, but at the same time, it would become very expensive. So in order to avoid that, we created a different process thinking about that in Make, right? So first we try, can we put everything into like a vector database and say, hey, let's run through that vector search and try to determine this HS code. So this process is generally called RAG. And then based on the results in our testing, even by using a vector database, this still was not enough because again, the data set is too big. So then we had to implement a process where we go in a step-by-step process. So practically we're first asking the AI to define a search term on how to really determine the HS code. And then we use that term to go and search progressively into the vector data store. And then we end up with a result. And just by applying 4 different searches in the vector data store, our results became almost close to 95%. But then we wanted to go even further. So in order to really determine that better, what we did, we added more results from each vector search. And then we asked the AI to go and I see a block here. I'm not sure why that's there. It's probably an error. So we add an AI reasoning after each vector search, right? So instead of just getting one category, we ask for, give me 3 categories. So then the AI will respond with the right category. We limit that response within those 3 categories, and so on. We do the filters going forward, right? And every time we do for the progressive search, we limit the search by querying into the vector database with the previous search. So by applying this, we got to a 99, I would say 99 point something accuracy in getting that result out of the vector database. One small note here, keep in mind when you use a database, a vector database, always use one that allows you to have metadata filter on it. So you can really limit sometimes the records that you want to get based on the different filters that you have. And also you might want to limit access at some point by having these meta filters and so on. So in our case, we use Pinecone, but you can use pgvector on top of Supabase or whichever other custom or SaaS platform you might like for that. Okay. Also, a very nice thing when you work with AI, and this is maybe the one of our tips, and it's I found out from Sebastian it's going to be released very soon officially. So there's a new feature which is called module mapping. So practically, when you want to pass information towards an AI, so this is part of the bigger process for this HS code. We have a module here, 22, which is doing a research on the internet related to this product. And this Gina AI search would map it with the module mapping. As you can see here on the buttons part of the screen, there's 22, and there's no object mapped after. So practically with whatever that module will output, all that value of the module will be automatically put into the next module in this case. Okay, and now another use case related to e-commerce product assets. If you look at these two different products, right, which one would the customer buy? And that's where AI, I think, can help a lot nowadays, different e-commerce businesses, right? If you don't have the right product naming, product description, tags, and so on, but even the pictures and videos and so on are becoming more and more important, so you can really convert better. So one of our customers, a pawn shop, where they process thousands of products on a monthly basis. And their challenges was really, how do we get good product assets for their products? And in a, let's say, cheaper and scalable way, right? Doing that manually on each product can become very expensive and time consuming. Rather than doing that with AI, it's really like autonomous, fast, and really cheap and scalable. I think, I don't remember the exact cost with it, but the result of this using different AIs to enhance and create the assets, it's less than I don't know, 50 cents, 60 cents, something like that, right? So imagine how much would it take to ask a professional photographer or videographer to do these assets. So then the process that we did, we have a form. The workers in the shops just do a picture on the jewelry. That picture gets an enhanced image quality, and we remove the background, of course, with AI. Then we standardize as well the description. So we have some information that is coming directly from when they submit the picture, but then we use that information and we get AI to create a description. So we also publish that on Shopify. And then we use AI to generate all the video and pictures and descriptions, right? So let me go into the demo mode and show you how this really looks like. So I have here, I've already updated a picture. I have an Airtable here with the different items that we already tested and created for them. So practically whenever you submit a new picture, there's a form. So on this form, you submit a picture. They will just come here and select, okay, type of thing, weight, some other details, and attach a picture. Once that picture is attached, it goes into this interface. And there is a watcher in Make that will take the picture, where we'll retrieve the image, download the image, and then we use Pixar to remove the background and enhance the quality. And then we generate the description. We have some prompts where based on the type of pictures, we use different prompts for the video. So then we do a selection on that, and then we generate the video with Runway. Okay, so let me select the last one here. I should have started this when I started talking about it, because it's going to take a few seconds to do it. So once this scenario finishes, it will automatically upload the video for the user to review that inside Airtable. And there you go. So out
Wow,
of a
man. This is
out of a
so cool. This is so
out of
cool,
this
really.
picture,
I like
okay?
it.
So this picture, it's very low quality. So you can see here, not even opening up on the full screen. And based on this picture, which is really low quality, you get this kind of video automatically. Spending few cents, right? €1 doesn't matter, right? And imagine having this, making now some screenshots on it and putting this on an e-commerce. The product assets that you have for your LinkedIn, for your Facebook, Instagram, and all that could be immense, right? So really spend a bit of time playing with these kind of processes for your online shop, because it really, really matters. Okay, so going back to my last slide, I think again, we all know that, but Make autonomous AI agents is really one of the trends of today. Very easy to have these agents make dynamic decisions. It seamlessly integrate with the data that you have in different platforms. Could be your ERP, your CRM, your Airtable, and so on. And then very fast, easy to implement, scale, and maintain, right? And yeah, thank you.
Amazing. Thanks a lot, Tiberio. And yeah, over to you, John. Let's go.
Can you guys hear me? All right, excellent. And you guys can see my screen, right? All right, perfect. All right, so thanks, TV. You did a fantastic job demonstrating. So to reiterate, Axanexa specializes in workflow automation. The AXA and Axanexa stands for Automate Anything. I'm going to share with you guys two use cases. One is a simple use case, and the other is a more complex use case, but it's really to emphasize the same thing. Incremental steps and incremental questions that help that deterministic workflow. As Sebastian was said earlier, the workflows today are very deterministic, and from a business process perspective, we tend to need a deterministic outcome. If a transaction comes in, it's either going to go yes or no, or it's going to go in some kind of bucket in some way, shape, or form. So I'll start with the first one, which is going to be the extract and analyze W-9. For those of us in the United States, one of the standard requirements of a customer-supplier relationship is during the supplier onboarding phase, a supplier needs to upload a W-9, their tax form. And funny story, I just posted this on LinkedIn. During the holidays, I uploaded one as a supplier to a customer, and I accidentally uploaded the wrong file, and that turned out to delay the onboarding process by a few weeks because, well, let's put it this way, they need my tax form to move forward. And then the second one is categorized entity to NAICS. NAICS is a standardized coding structure for what it identify what class of supplier a vendor is or a company is. And that is used a lot by various different organizations for different workflow purposes. Both of these are examples of classification of input into a deterministic outcome. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what that means. All right, so when people think AI today, they think about the cute factor, is what I call it. And the cute factor really is going to be along the lines of, well, I can ask it cool questions, it can give me cool answers, it can help solve the blank page problem. It can prompt you for initial writing and stuff like that, summarize stuff, great. But when it comes down to workflow automation where we need high volumes of transactions where things come in, we need deterministic outcomes so that we can process and a level of accuracy. The thing is, it needs to be reliable. And when you think of LLM and AI today, people think of the problems of hallucination, inconsistent answers, and well, it's unreliable. If it's unreliable, you can't build a workflow. Well, that's actually not true. The reality of it is AI was meant to be kind of like human-like. If you look at the history of OpenAI and LLM technology, their goal when they train the model is how to make you believe that it's a person. So what that means is when you ask someone an open-ended question, you're going to get an open-ended answer. So realistically, we have to start asking AI closed-ended deterministic questions So that's the real problem. If we ask it small incremental deterministic questions in the prompts, we're going to get deterministic answers. And that in turn will help us move things forward. So, and you can see that with TB's example when he had prompt engineering, so forth along the way as each step. And we're going to do exactly the same thing over here. If we ask small questions, we move it forward. And that's the thing. That's the power of what Make gets you. Make allows us to ask better questions. We break up the question in small incremental steps. And you'll see in my demo, as well as what you saw on TB's demo, is that you saw individual continuous questions being asked, smaller questions. And when you limit it down and engineer it down, you'll get really good answers. And the really, really, really cool thing about Make is it allows us to rapid prototype and prompt engineer. As we're editing, as we're building, we go, that's not the answer I'm looking for. Let me change that prompt a little bit. Let me break that question into 3 smaller questions, and we're going to get much better results. So what does this all mean? Well, let's take a look at my W9 example over here. All right, so this is Monday. Monday's UI. So I'm going to show you what the end user sees, and then I'm going to show you what Make sees. So here's an example of a W9 form. It's a fake one. So super awesome business LLC with 9911111. This is a valid tax form that someone would upload to a system. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, go ahead and request an extract out of it. And this is a classic case of data classification. What I'm doing here is I'm basically saying I have some unknown data and classify it into one of my valid buckets. Oh, there we go. That's a bad example of one. Here, let's try that again. So the outcome of it should be the name. There you go. Super awesome business. So that's one of the funny things about LLM is I probably need to engineer that prompt a little bit better. But super awesome business LLC, 99111 was the tax ID. But here's the key thing, valid W9. That's a yes. What does that mean? That means I can move on to the next step of whatever my workflow is. And this is, if you're a Monday user or if you're any workflow user, you'll know I have automations inside Monday that says when something is equal to yes, go move this forward to a next step, route it to a next step, and so forth. Let's take a look at a bad one. All right, so we're going to do this one. And this is a bad one. This happens to be a picture of my 1-year-old standing next to her toy. So everyone say hi to Ensley. So this
Hi
is going
there.
to this is going to take a little bit longer because it's going to do 2 things. All right, and I'll show you what those are. The first one is it's going to say, hey, is this a tax form? The answer is going to be no. If it's not a tax form, answer the question in the form of describe what it is so that we can use that as an automated response back to the submitter to go, hey, you uploaded something that looks like this. What is that? Well, for fun, I asked it to respond in the form of William Shatner. So for those of you guys Star Trek fans, you'll know Captain Kirk. And it's the king of overacting, but you can see, behold, adorable child wearing a festive red Santa hat. So any case, that's the joke now. So let's go to actually see what happens in Make. All right, so in here, we're going to show the first one, which is this one over here. This is the good path. And you can see how we have a fork here that says valid versus invalid. All right, the first few over here, first few steps over here are going to be just getting the information from Monday. But this one right here is the key. Please respond only in JSON. I'm limited to deterministic. I'm uploading the image, right? And I'm getting the result that says, yes, that's a W9. That's the name. That's the tax ID. And because it's a yes, I have a W9 path. And then I come over here and I just update Monday to go, hey, we got a W9. We're good to go. And then we can forward on with our process. Now let's take a look at the bad one. All right, so this is the bad one. Same thing. We asked ChatGPT. You say, hey, please respond in JSON, W9 yes or no. And no, it is not a W9 with the error code of this image does not contain a W9 form, which is correct because it was a picture of my daughter. And then went down this path where we ask a second question. Because we know it's not a W9, we want to know what it is. So we say, hey, go ahead and describe the image in the style of William Shatner, and behold, that adorable child. That's the image. So that we can use that as automation to automatically notify the end user, the submitter, to go, hey, you uploaded a picture of a child, not a W-9 form. I need a W-9 form to process this forward. Now, this may sound like really simplistic, but this has been a problem in US supplier onboarding for, I don't know, 20 years, if not more longer. I've been in procurement for 20 years of my career, and I can tell you that this is a common problem, consistent problem across the board for the last 20 years. And this will save ungodly amounts of hours, heartache, money, processing, all that fun stuff that goes with it. This tiny little use case that you see here with all of, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 operations, it costs about maybe 2 pennies to run, will save the equivalent of maybe half an hour of labor on a human to do. Think about the ROI of that, and think about American labor hours. That's how powerful this is. All right. So let's go further on. Let's talk a little bit more about the next demo, which is going to be a NAICS classification. This one's the same idea where we're taking one question, followed by a second question, followed up by a third question. So let's take a look at what this is. So for foodies of the world, if you are ever in Chicago, by the way, there is a 3 Michelin star restaurant called Alinea, world famous. It is definitely an experience to go. I took my wife to there a few years ago, and it's just one of those things where if you have a chance to go to Chicago, get yourself a reservation. It is an experience. All right, so let's take a look at Alinea over here. What we have is we're saying, hey, here's a company named Alinea. Its address is 1723 North Halsted in Chicago, Illinois. All right. What I've already preloaded was a prompt of a research to say, hey, ChatGPT, please go Google online, what is Alinea? And then summarize that to a 100-word answer. And that's what I got out of it. So now I'm going to go and say, based off that 100-word answer, please classify this into NAICS for me. All right. So I'm going to go down to my little button over here and say, go ahead and run my classification over here. So while it's doing that, we'll let it run through and then we'll come back to make. But while it's doing that, you can see it filling it in. First, it's accommodation and food services, which is sector code 72. Then it's food service and drink places, 722. You can see it's actually restaurant and other eating places, which is 722.5. You can see it kind of forking down the path of what it should be. If I were to just ask it straight up, if you look at Alinea as a whole, if you look at the NAICS code as a whole, it could be in like 10 places, and it's inconsistent. If you ask someone, well, choose 1 out of 10, which one it could be? Well, it could be any one of them, right? But if I say, no, choose only this one, 1 out of 3, it's a much better and much more likelihood choice of 1 out of 3 than 1 out of 10. And that's effectively the technique we're using here. All right. So well, let's take a look at what we saw just right now. So this is a very similar technique to what TB showed you, but this is more workflow processing than necessarily automation of data processing. But it's the same idea. So you can see first we get the Monday stuff. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to fork and basically go into each one of these to each sublayer as we go to eventually get to the answers, the various independent answers we're looking for. And each step of the way, we're updating Monday to say, here was the result. Okay, now go down to the next path. And you can see over here, what we're doing here is we're saying, hey, ChatGPT, all right, what is this? All right, so the message is, and this is a super long post, you are an analyst responsible and provide the top 2 digits and so forth. And it comes back with, well, it's sector code 72, which is great. Now, here's the really, really, really cool part of this. Well, I didn't show you in Monday, which I will just a little bit. It's actually getting the valid results from Monday. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying, these are the only valid structures we want. And actually, on top of that, we also have ability to add extra prompts to it too, to say, Here, extra stuff like automobile parts and trains, anything related to cars should come over here. We can give more extra prompts. It's reading this as a source of truth. And the other thing that we're doing here is we're saying, please refer back to these items, so that when we are tying things together, we're tying relative to this table and only this table. So this solves the problem of hallucination, because if it's not in here, the LLM will not respond back with, oh, hey, here's an item, right? And you can't make up an item because it has to be one of these items available. So going back to my scenario here, you'll see that we're updating very specifically to say the column value, that's an item ID. That's a Monday item ID. We're saying, please respond back, not just in the code, but also give me the corresponding entry from that next table that we have on Monday to give us that Monday ID. And that in turn allows us to then filter based upon the hierarchy, right? Every single step of the way, we're checking that table. We're checking a local copy of the table because it's much more efficient. But we're checking a copy of that table to allow us to then say, here's the valid choices. So if I were to come back down to a second step, this is a second step now. This is a second layer after a top layer. Right? In the second layer, I'm saying, go ahead and tell me what are the various different choices. And these are the only two various different choices from 72. It's either 72.1 or 72.2. If I were to go and say, hey, Nakes, which one is it going to be at the top level? It's 1 out of 1,700. But because I focused it only on the top level, not only on the second level, not only on the third level, I'm now getting only 1 of 2, 1 of 3, 1 of 5, 1 of 10, whatever the small amount is. And it is so much more accurate this way. And that in turn allows us to have a reliability that we need to make this work, and to also to build workflows that really drive, well, automation. This goes to our mission. This is, we're going to help organizations reduce their back office spend. Right? Your traditional business model says that your back office is about 10% of your total revenue. I want it to be 1% of your total revenue. With automation, with Monday, we can make that happen. We can automate all these things where humans traditionally needed humans to be able to look at some data and go, yeah, I think it's this. We can do that with AI. We can do that with Make. We can do that with Monday. And that goes kind of back down to what we're talking about here. Super powered workflows, right? If you think about it, all workflows today are derived from manufacturing, which is very deterministic. Do step 1, and depending on step 1's output, it'll either go to step 2, 2A, or 2B. Well, during that problem, historically, before AI, before Make, before Monday, we didn't have the ability to take freeform input. So if someone uploaded an image, if someone had to freeform type in something, we still needed a human to judge and go, yeah, that's A or that's B. Examples of inputs, like for instance, the W-94 is a freeform input. What the address and entity name is technically a freeform input. But with what you just saw today, we classify them, and that becomes a limited step. With that, AI now serves as that human for classification. That deterministic step of A, B, C, D no longer means A, human, B, human, C. Now it's just A, B, C, D. Speed to process, cost to process, we're talking about 1% of what it used to be. And that is a superpower workflow. So realistically, if you think about it, at the end of the day, sum it up, Make plus AI plus deterministic workflow. We limit inputs for deterministic outcomes. We conversion of freeform data into limited input. But most importantly, we create these atomic steps, and then we keep retriggering, and that creates superpower workflows. So thank you, everybody. I hope this was very helpful for you. And let me return it back to you, Seb.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, John. Thanks a lot, TV. And yeah, cool that we had the chance to discuss it. I would hop over to the Q&A and share the the questions there. I saw some of them already get answered, so it looks actually quite good in the comms channel. And I will go into the open ones. Okay, so answer live. Do you have any documentation on data security for the AI models available in Make? I can answer this maybe because it's related to documentation, I think, for Make, and maybe Tiberio and John, you can also add some of your best practices for Estelle Yates' question. So when it comes to documentation on data security for the AI models, I would recommend you checking out your model itself. So if you're connecting, for example, OpenAI, ultimately we are just connecting to the API. So the data security, that data does not get trained or that data does not leak at OpenAI, for example, is with OpenAI in this example case. Same goes, of course, with other providers like Anthropic, so on and so forth. When it comes to us, I can tell you that we have in our enterprise plan, of course, the possibility to share you SOC 1 certification. Also, we can, of course, share you more documentation on our docs page, and maybe somebody can throw it here in the chat. John, TV, do you want to add anything to that question, what we're seeing right now?
So LLMs and OpenAI models are, well, just AI models in general. It's a little bit of a bring your own. The relationship, the legal relationship is between you and the AI model provider. We have partnership with private AI models organizations where they will host only a AI model just for you, is an example of one. You can buy, technically, if you look at the language for Azure, so if you want to use OpenAI's model, you can actually buy OpenAI through Azure, and Azure's languages will say that they protect your data. So you do have a level of security for that. But that relationship is between you and your model provider. So as long as you establish your relationship with them and your legal entity requirements necessary for data protection, you should be fine. But given also the fact that a lot of these AI models now are open source, nothing stops you from also building an in-house hosting of one yourself. So, and in which case you are absolutely sure that your data is guaranteed. Make provides you that connectivity to the AI model, but you are bringing your own AI model and your output of your own AI model.
Yeah, but to add on that, it's very similar to how you decide where your data goes, right? If you're the kind of business that you're going to keep your own private server, yeah, probably you have to host your own LLM, right? If you're have SaaS platforms where you keep your data, you're using Microsoft, you're using Google Cloud, you're using Airtable, Monday.com, and so on, as the same, right? You need to trust those platforms with the data. All of the big ones have very good terms and conditions, and you can see on the paid plans, they are not training the models. And then maybe to add specific to Europe, if you want to keep your data in Europe with the provider, yeah, Mistral is there and a few other LLMs in Europe that you can use and be GDPR conscious.
Okay, thanks, guys. I would move forward, and as we are having 17 minutes, I would encourage, of course, the audience, ask all your questions, throw it all in, and let's dive deeper into it. What's the barrier to entry with setting up this automation? Is this a low, no-code situation, or are there more complex coding options available? I would pull also this question up so everybody see it. So you can, of course, import external coding solutions. For example, you can import AWS Lambda, or you could use your Azure function service. But also on an enterprise plan, you have the possibility to use our functions, which are then native JavaScript. If you are looking for complex coding solution that you can run directly inside Make, we do not offer this yet. And yeah, maybe TB and John, from your project experience, maybe you want to add something there.
So I would differ a bit on your answer. You can run code in different ways, right? Even more complex code. There are different modules like Zero Code Kit where you can run Python and some other code if you want, right? If you're looking to really build something more complex over code and connect it to Make, you can do that with your own either SaaS services that run that code or private server. But I think maybe if the question relates to like AI automations, that things that we just show there, I think the level of complexity of really defining the AI rules, defining even like a vector database, like in my use case, or creating a video, that's I would say very easy to do. I mean, with going over the make um, training and being able to do these kind of workflows.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and to go back down to it, I made a statement somewhere on LinkedIn some time ago. AI technology that we have today is no longer a technological problem, as we see the models are getting better and better and better. But the problem really is more along the lines of the logical, or I call it a management problem. Asking AI to do something, if you ask it really bad questions, you're going to get really bad answers, or really open questions, you're going to get a wide range of answers. So leverage make not necessarily on a deep technical code level, but really on more of a, well, let's build a fast prototype, answer individual questions as you go. That's really what it is. But if you wanted to go down deep code level, as TB said, there are many, many different options to do it. But that's really not where the value truly is. The value truly is, let's engineer and figure out what is the right question to ask. So I am a parent. And one of the things I have learned of dealing with my children is sometimes I have to ask them the same request in a very specific order, a very specific word, then all of a sudden, magically, I get a good result. It is no different.
Cool. Yeah, exactly as you said, guys. I think we elaborated on that question, and I'm thankful for having you here to differentiate also the different facets of this. I would pick up Nadine's question here, so just so everybody sees it. What about the German/European data protection law is made GDPR compliant, basically for all the customers listening and tuning in from international Europe? So yes, Make is GDPR compliant. We are offering also you an option to host your service on European servers, for example, in the zone, we call it Europe 2, which you would sign up if you sign up from Germany, I assume from this case. You can select the EU2 zone, which is then directly hosted in Frankfurt. If you are looking for certifications there or for a DPA, we have a DPA on our website. You can get a signed version of the DPA. So if you need there more questions, or if you have more questions, I would recommend you sign up and just shoot a support ticket over to our team to get some help in case you did not in self-service portal find anything there. And with that said, I would pick directly the next one. And here we go. So what's the best resource for putting together workflow and selecting modules? I think I shouldn't answer this. We have the best partners here. So John, do you want to go first? And then we go to TB. What's the best resource for putting together workflow and selecting modules?
Oh, well, here we go. That's a very open-ended question. Um, you know what? Probably the best resource is breaking down your problem set. I mean, it is a lot of trial and error. The best resources, believe it or not, it's Make. If you start off with a blank sheet of paper, leverage Make's ability to rapid prototype. A lot of times what I start off is I start with a blank scenario, and I at first leverage the LM module. So let's, for everyone's sake, we use the ChatGPT module, and I just ask it, well, high level question and see what the results is. And from there, I can decide, you know what, that's too big a question. Let me ask a smaller question. And then I'll create, fork off, ask this question, then this question, and then, oh, that's still too big. Then I'll ask this question, then this question, then this question, until I get a good result that I'm looking for. So believe it or not, it's actually Make. It's very much use it like a scratch sheet of paper.
TV, do you want to add something
Yeah,
there?
I would add to that sometimes what feels for me very fast and use helps me for the brainstorming. I use middle or whimsical. So creating like a visual dashboard for really, as you're saying, John, breaking down the elephant into small pieces, right? Because otherwise, um, it's hard to really understand what you're going to do. And then based on that, I would then go and create the scenarios in Make. When breaking that down, you generally identify, okay, what are the different platforms that you will need? What are the different objects and challenges that you might encounter, and answer all the questions, right? And I suppose a lot of the users on the call, right, are doing maybe this kind of work for some others, like us, like the partners. It also, a lot of times, it will define the scope, and you'll have a clear scope that you're going to share and estimate with your customer, right? And then everybody's aligned. Hey, this is what I'm going to do, right? Rather than, hey, promise some, think about doing the big problem, promise something, and then being hard to deliver.
Yes. Thanks, guys. Mike asked a really cool, interesting question. I would pick an answer directly. If we're doing AI consulting but need implementation services, do you have an ecosystem of providers we can access? So I interpret this question into two directions. Mike is doing consulting services, but not basically professional services. We have a landing page where you can select partners from that do professional services. I think some of these partners even do white label services, Mike. So this could be really interesting to reach out to some of our top partners. For example, we have here two partners here for today from Axanexa, John, and DBL from Makeitfuture. And you could reach out to them, of course. But if you're asking, well, are you having implementation services towards like what kind of AI solutions you could implement? I would recommend you going on our solutions sections in our webpage. There you can see all our applications that are available. And there you can select a subcategory with AI apps. And I hope I answered you this question in both directions. One side is the AI services itself, and the other side is the professional services. Going forward, I think there's also a really good question from Fabio I will pick up as well. Is there components to create knowledge graphs? Believe it or not, this is one of the discussions I had with our AI tribe lead. I think yesterday it was actually, and we are ideating around knowledge graphs. There is right now no service on the market that makes it really low code and no code easy at scale in multi-tenancy to create knowledge graphs on top of your data automations, where data flows and how you can visualize it, and most importantly, act on it. So this is something I think it's absolutely food for thought and might be something we could dive deeper into, but right now there is sadly no component to create knowledge graphs. Going forward, I would say take the question from Sebastian also. Sebastian Fischbeck asks, at MakeWaves24, you showed the function to build a custom app via AI from an API documentation. Was this an official feature or just a sneak peek? So at that moment in time, it was an alpha version, and alphas are, yeah, sometimes they go good, sometimes they go bad. In this case, we kind of like paused the alpha right now. So we are in a state that the value for our partners and customers we identified is there, but the time saving and the hustle they still need to do to really build from AI an app is not yet on the quality level where we see it. So as AI or LLMs mature, and maybe some other technology beside LLMs comes out in the next half year, or O3 could also maybe solve this, we will revisit this and bring the sneak peek to life. So going now to give also the chance to let our partners answer some of the more questions there, I would pick the question from Cash. One of my current challenges relates to deployment of AI workflows to customers' existing business tools. Are there any resources related, or how can we take workflow and deploy to customer? I think this is a perfect question for our partners to ask. As TB went first, I would pick John now to go first, and then I would let TB also answer that.
Well, so there's two ways to look at this. So there's a existing business tool. If Make already has an app for it, leverage Make. Just go through and look at all the various different atomic actions that Make's app can do, And this is one of those fantastic things about Make. I had a customer ask me, what was it? It was Shopify. Shopify was about to retire some of their REST APIs, and they were wondering that if they have to worry about having to rebuild all their scenarios. And with the Make apps, you don't have to worry about that because the Make apps will update to their functions to whatever new APIs are necessary. So leverage the Make apps wherever possible. Leverage Make wherever possible. So that's a starting point. Now, if the app doesn't exist, well, Make can still talk to it, and you would leverage the AI documentation, not the API documentation from the third party, so existing business tools. So if it's something that is very specific that doesn't exist inside Make, a very industry specific tool. I'll give you an example. We have a customer that's in the aviation business, and they have some very industry specific tools with very close end APIs. We leverage the APIs and we use generic SOAP communication with them. We would use REST communications with them using the generic HTTP get and post commands, which are very atomic and low level by definition. And of course, you are also welcome to build your own app, leveraging Make's infrastructure to then continue to have the conversation of how do you connect Make to the existing business tools. The restriction is not Make. The restriction is really whether the existing business tools have a way to talk to it. And if you are a enterprise customer, you also have the ability to even go behind the firewall through the agent process to then continue to talk to someone behind the firewall. So many different capabilities that you can do. And really, it's just whether or not the other side is listening. If the other side is listening, we can talk to it.
Yeah, maybe to add on that, even sometimes if you're behind a firewall and you don't have a way to really go inside that, let's say ERP system, there's also like a question from Jared on the chat related to ERP SQL triggers. You can write some script on that server and push some data towards a webhook in Make as an example. So if you just want to take data out, that's probably an easy way to do it. Run some script there, push the data out, and then get the data into Make. If you're trying to get data as well into that server, then yes, you really need an agent there if you're behind the firewall. But yeah, easy to deploy on HTTP model and creating new applications where needed.
Thanks, guys. As we're coming to the end, I will let the elephant out in the room. There is one question, which I think in the chat is, will Make have AI agents like N8N? Short version, yes. When? Never ask a product manager when. Can be tomorrow, can be next year, but we get it, right? So we're super happy to maybe do the next webinar around how to build what John and TB did here fully autonomously, non-deterministic. I think this is really important to say. AI agents are amazing at non-determinism, but a lot of business processes will be still running in deterministic ways because if you let an AI agent do everything, it's going to be pretty wild. So yes, we will bring soon an AI agent. And stay tuned. Stay tuned, I would say.
Maybe to add on that, Seb, until that gets released from Make, whoever needs an AI agent, right? Look, and you're trying to build that with Make. Look at some of the assistant modules that Make already has. Recently, there was released the Quen assistant module. There is the OpenAI assistant module, where you can use the knowledge and the instructions of the assistant to really select which of the scenarios or the functions, the tools it needs to run, and it does that in a very autonomous way, right? I'm sure the new features will bring that to a next level, but yeah, try it now with this. I'm sure this will also help you once you start with the new functionalities.
I absolutely agree, and I think that OpenAI assistant module, what we're having on the Quen assistant module, that's really massive already. Yeah, so a lot of times when we're seeing like N8N and their agents, it is what you have in Make in just an LLM call. A lot of times you do not need this free tool choosing. That's ultimately it is about, right? So you have this free tool choosing. You can mimic and rebuild this today with, as TB said, OpenAI Assistant or Quen Assistant. And from there, of course, if it is an incorporated product feature, it is a different level, but you're not blocked yet. You can still build this on Make. Cool. I think we're on time, guys. I know there's some other questions left. I'm sorry that we couldn't cover these. I hope some of you answered these in the chat. And yeah, I'm again thankful that John and TB were here. John, TB, any last words?
Yeah, thanks a lot for this occasion. It's been great. Thank you.
I think we're on the verge of a AI revolution. I think businesses will forever change. You're going to see organizations that are going to be able to act 10 times the size that they are, leveraging the technology and platforms that we have today. And it's just super exciting to see what the future will hold for us.
Yeah, that's for
Cool.
sure.
Thanks, guys. Okay, and with this said, have a great evening or great morning or a great night wherever you are around the world. I saw a lot of people tuning in. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.